Time is 6:45 p.m. Today is Tuesday, December 20th, 2022. I would like to call to order this special meeting of the City of Emeryville City Council. Begin by noting that this meeting is being conducted pursuant to exemptions to the Brown Act authorized by Assembly Bill 361. The governor's declared state of emergency for the COVID-19 pandemic is still in effect, and the City of Emeryville, as many other public agencies, are taking precautions to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the members of the public, our staff, and our council members during the COVID-19 pandemic. While the state of emergency exists, the agency will make findings not less than every 30 days that it wishes to continue conducting video or teleconference meetings while the state of emergency is in effect. Provided the council makes those findings not less than every 30 days, meetings will continue in the video conference fashion. Members of the public are encouraged to participate in this meeting. You can join this meeting by using the link provided for in today's agenda. When we call for public comment for each of the items on the agenda, members of the public can use the raise hand feature on their Zoom bar, and if they're joining us using the telephone feature, they can press *9 to provide comment at that time. This time I'd like to begin by asking if the clerk would please take the roll call.
Yes, Councilmember Medina.
Present.
Councilmember Mora.
Here.
Councilmember Pryforce.
Here.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Here.
And Mayor Bowders.
Here, thank you all. At this time I'll entertain a motion to approve the final agenda for this meeting.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Member Medina, seconded by Vice Mayor Welch to approve the agenda. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Mora.
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye. Now we're at ex parte communications. Members, if you look at item 6.1, you'll see a list of people whose names have been provided as applicants. If you've had a conversation with anybody concerning their application, this is your chance to report an ex parte communication. We'll go in the order for which we call roll. So I'll ask first, Member Medina, do you have any ex parte communications you wish to report?
I do not.
Okay, Member Mora.
None.
Member Pryforce.
None.
Vice Mayor Welch.
I have none.
Okay, I have one to report. I spoke with both Scott Donahue and Stacy Hunter regarding the Economic Development Advisory Committee. Okay, we'll move now to public comment for items not on the agenda. A member of the public who wishes to comment for an item not on tonight's agenda may raise their hand and have 2 minutes to do so. Do we receive any written comment cards in advance of tonight's meeting for non-agenda items?
No, we did not, Mayor.
Okay, public comment is now closed on the non-agenda items, and we'll move now to the action items. And members, we have committee appointments for this evening. And to the members of the public who have applied to be on these committees, first of all, thank you for putting your name forward and asking to be considered for an appointment this evening. We appreciate your interest and engagement with the city and its resident advisory committees. The way this will work is we will go down the agenda. There will be by committee. Different members of the public attending tonight have applied for different committees. When we call for that committee, the clerk will promote in the order in which the applications are on the agenda. We'll promote you to the talking feature. You'll get a prompt on your Zoom bar that says you've been invited to unmute, or you've been invited to click unmute, or something to that effect. At that point, you can hit unmute, which means we've promoted you to a speaking feature. And we will invite you to speak for not more than 2 minutes, just about a little bit about yourself and about your interest in being on the committee that you have applied for that we are considering. For some of these committees, I will just point out that there is either equal or lesser number of applicants to the number of spots available. We fill most of our positions in June at the big appointment meeting. So I will, for each item, let the council members know how many applicants we have and how many positions we have to fill. We will then hear from the applicants, and if there are follow-up questions from any council member, you may ask a follow-up question of an applicant. When the applicants have all been heard for each committee, there will be a public comment period for each of those appointments. If there is anyone who wishes to comment on the applicants, they can do that. Otherwise, we will close the comment, and then the council members will have the opportunity to make a motion to appoint members to the committee. Okay, are there any questions from members about the process? Okay, seeing none, we'll begin with our first committee. First committee is item 6.1.1, which is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville appointing one resident to serve on the Alameda County Transportation Commission's Paratransit Advisory and Planning Commission for a term that will begin January 1st of next year and ending December 31st of 2024, a 2-year position. It's publicly noticed under FPPC form number 806. And at this time, if I think John Suter, I think he's just John. John, if you could raise your hand, please, using the Zoom feature so we can confirm that's you. That's great. April, if you could please promote Mr. Suter to the speaking role. You'd be good on mute, John. And I know you're a pro at this by now, so you'll be able to demonstrate for everyone how this goes. Good evening, John.
Good evening, and thank you for inviting me to participate in this. I appreciate the fact that you nominated me for my last term, or for the one I'm about ready to finish in December, which is about now. And I enjoyed the really getting to understand and relate to the majority of members of PAPCO that are much more aligned with being able to speak from a personal standpoint, having disabilities. However, I've been very interested in advocating and discussed with both Member Medina and you, Mayor Bowders, about what I was doing and wanted to do. I am right now working hard at let's say, speaking as if I was disabled, because, and it's not all that hard, because I've spent now about 1.5 years chatting with neighbors and people that I find on my treks around Emeryville. Since I walk every day, I have lots of opportunities. It's been great. I most appreciated being involved in the county evaluation of the Active Transportation Commission moves to improve various major thoroughfares, such as San Pablo, and there was one other one. And I found quite easy to be quite vocal to support various members who weren't being clearly heard or understood. So I would like to continue to proceed because I do believe I'm growing in the position. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Are there any members of the council that wish to ask questions of Mr. Suter? No, this is our only applicant. Thank you, John. We can move him back to the attendee box. There are no other applicants for this position. John has been in the position for the past 2 years, as he noted. Now is the time for public comment. A member of the public who wishes to comment on the application and appointment to the Paratransit Advisory Board will have 2 minutes to do so. Do you receive any written comment cards, April?
We did not, Mayor.
Okay, public comment is now closed. Members, is there any discussion? If not, is there a motion? Member Medina.
Yeah, I would like to move to appoint John Suter to this position. He has been a real delight and one of the, I think, applicants for a position that I've seen actively work to learn to better fill his role more than almost anyone else I've ever seen. John, I really appreciate your service on behalf of the city and love for you to continue it.
I will go ahead and second Member Medina's motion, and just as the member to ACTC, just appreciate Mr. Suter for his work on behalf of people with paratransit needs. Madam Clerk, there's a motion by Member Medina, seconded by Mayor Bowders, to approve John Suter for a period of term on the Alameda County Paratransit Board starting January 1st of 2023 through December 31st, 2024. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Mora.
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye. Thank you. And congratulations, John. Item 6.1.2 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville appointing one person as a business representative or community member for a term from December 20th of this year through June 30th of next year, and appointing up to 2 people as community members for terms commencing December 20th of this year and ending June 30th of 2024 to serve on the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. And we only have one application for that, and that is Jeffrey Banks. And is Jeffrey Banks here? If you are here, Jeffrey, could you please raise your hand? Okay, I don't see Jeffrey Banks here. Members, the application is in the packet for today's agenda. Well, we don't have any other applicants. So at this time, I'll call for public comment. Members of the public who wish to comment on the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee will have up to 2 minutes to speak. April, did we receive any comments for this application?
We did not, Mayor.
Okay, public comment is now closed. Members, is there discussion? If not, is there a motion? Member Medina.
I will move to appoint Mr. Banks to a term commencing December 2022 and ending June 30th, 2024.
To 2024, okay. Is there a second to the motion?
I
I'll
second.
second.
Okay, I recognize the motion by Member Medina, seconded by Vice Mayor Welch. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Mora.
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye, thank you. And we'll move to item 6.1.3, which is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville appointing up to one person as a business representative for a term commencing today and ending June 30th of 2024, and up to one person as a labor representative for a term commencing today and ending June 30th, 2023 for the Budget Advisory Committee. There is only one applicant, which is for the position of the labor position, and that is for Navarre Oaks. And Navarre, if you would like to go ahead and take a couple minutes to give your presentation.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor Bowders. I'll be brief. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I'm excited for the opportunity to serve on the Budget Advisory Committee as the City Labor Representative. I hope to learn more about city finances, budgeting, and organization in this capacity, and to bring my experience as a union member and leader to the committee. As as staff, I presented to numerous city committees, so it'll be an interesting change of pace and perspective to serve on a committee as a member instead. And I thank you for considering me.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Navarre Oaks? Seeing none, now is the time for public comment. Members of the public who wish to comment on the Budget Advisory Committee appointment will have 2 minutes to do so. Did we receive any written comment cards, April?
No, we did not, Mayor.
Okay, public comment is now closed. Is there any discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Member Medina.
I am happy to move to appoint Navarre Oaks to the city labor representative position for this committee.
Okay,
I will second.
thank you. We have a motion by Member Medina, seconded by Vice Mayor Welch. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Mora.
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye. Thank you and welcome, Navarre. Item 6.1.4 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville appointing someone as a community member for a term commencing today and ending June 30th, 2025, and another position for a resident commencing today and ending June 30th, 2024, to serve on the city's Commission on Aging. And we have one application for the Commission on Aging this evening, and that is Ellen Strauss. And Ellen, you've been given permission, there you go, to unmute, and you're welcome to speak for 2 minutes about your interests. Go ahead.
Well, I'm very interested in the Commission on Aging, especially since I'm a senior citizen. I'm on the board at the Emeryville Senior Center, the Friends, and I've been on the board for a few years now. And I had a bad fall back in 2015, which totally changed my life. And every step that I take is very careful because I still have that fear of falling again. And recently I got a dog to help me get out more. And I've become very aware of many people who are older who are handicapped. I'm partially handicapped. I have my brain in my mouth, so I do pretty well with everything. But I've been talking with people when I take my dog for a walk at the park, the dog park right here on Christie Street. And several people have told me about their fears and their needs to have a more productive life than what they have now. And I've done volunteer work for most of my life, and I love trying to help people, and I would like to be an asset to the Commission on Aging.
Thank you so much, Ellen, and thank you for volunteering to step forward for such an important role. Now we will have public comment, or actually first, I'm sorry. Is there anybody who wishes to ask a question of Ellen? Okay, now we'll have public comment. A member of the public who wishes to comment on the application for the Commission on Aging will have 2 minutes to do so. Do we receive any written comment cards, April?
No, Mayor, we did not.
Okay, thank you. Public comment is now closed, and I'll turn, and if there's discussion or a motion.
I move to appoint Ellen Strauss to the Commission on the Status of Aging.
Okay, would you like
For-
to appoint her to the, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Does it matter which term? The first
It's up
one?
to you. It's up to you. You're the motion maker. You can choose either the one that ends in 24 or 25.
For the term ending June 30th, 2025.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Vice Mayor Welch and a second by Member Medina to appoint Ellen Strauss to a term that will commence immediately and conclude June 30th, 2025 to the Commission on Aging. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember Mora,
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch,
Aye.
and Mayor Bowders.
Aye. Thank you, and welcome, Ellen, to the Commission on Aging. We look forward to having you. Next up on our agenda, members, is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville appointing at least one person as a large business representative for a term commencing now and ending in June 2024, a resident for a term commencing now and ending in June 2024, and a small business representative commencing now and ending June 2024 to serve on the Economic Development Advisory Committee. And we have two applicants. We have Stacy Hunter and Scott Donahue. And I would like to first welcome Stacy Hunter. Good evening, and you have 2 minutes. You can unmute.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. I currently work at the intersection building at 3800 San Pablo for the University of California, Berkeley, where I am the housing coordinator for graduate students at UC Berkeley. First time I lived in Emeryville was in the 1990s, and I remember a city of Emeryville that kind of smelled like metal just about everywhere I went, and I've kind of seen that transition to a city of technology and retail as the years have gone by, and which is a good thing, obviously, in my opinion. But I believe in balance between big business and small business and entrepreneurship. I'm familiar with concepts like infill development that are very pertinent to a small city like Emeryville. I strongly believe that as the city continues to develop, obviously economic sustainability is a focus, but I believe it needs to go hand in hand with environmental sustainability and certainly can't come at its expense, right? So I liked Emeryville in the 1990s. I liked it enough to come back. But since I've been back here this last year plus, I've really fallen in love with it and would really love the opportunity to contribute to the city going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Are there any members of the council that wish to ask Stacy a question? Okay, seeing none, now is the time for public comment. Members of the public who wish to comment on the appointments to the Economic Development Advisory Committee will have 2 minutes to do so. April, do we receive any written comments?
No, Mayor.
Okay, before we move to discussion, public comment is closed. Before we move into further discussion, I just want to note that Scott Donahue is not present today, but Scott Donahue is eligible as both a resident and as a small business representative, as a local artist, and so we can choose to make an appointment for both positions if we'd like. So, Member Medina, I now see your hand raised.
That was the question I was going to make, is if former Councilmember Donahue would be willing to be appointed as a small business representative so that we could fill two of these roles here. So in light of that, I'm really excited then that we are able to have such an experienced member of this committee and also bring a new person in to the city committee. So I would like to make a motion to appoint Scott Donahue as a small business representative for a term commencing December 2022 and ending June 2024, and Stacy Hunter, sorry, I'm scrolling up and down real fast here, as a resident for a term commencing December 2022 and ending June 2024 for the Economic Development Advisory Committee.
I will second that motion.
Thank you. There's a motion made by Member Medina, seconded by Vice Mayor Welch. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember Mora,
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch,
Aye.
and Mayor Bowders.
Aye. Thank you, and congratulations, Stacy and Scott. Welcome back. We'll move now to item 6.1.6, which is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville appointing a community member to serve on the Parks and Recreations Committee for a term beginning today and ending June of 2023. And we have Nick Robert as our applicant. Good evening, Nick.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me. Happy holidays. I've been a resident in Emeryville for the last 3 years, but I've been working in Emeryville for a little bit longer than that, about 5 years. I'm a huge fan of making my way down the Greenway and over there on the coastal walkway as well. And I'm just enamored with how Emeryville kind of keeps their city clean and keeps everything kind of moving and fun. So I would really like to kind of get in and contribute to making Emeryville a fun and safe place to play. I have a deep background in project management experience, and I see projects all the way through, so I would love to lend my expertise. So if you'd have me, I'd love to join the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Are there any questions from council members for Nick Robert? Seeing none, we now have the time for public comment. A member of the public who wishes to comment on the Parks and Rec Committee will have 2 minutes to do so. Do you receive any written comment cards?
No, Mayor, we did not.
Thank you. Public comment is now closed. Members, is there any discussion? If not, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Nick to the aforementioned position.
Thank you.
Second the motion.
Thank you. There's a motion.
That's motion, Councilmember Mora. Good job.
Great job. There's a motion by Councilmember Mora and a second by Councilmember Medina to appoint Nick Robert to the Parks and Rec Committee. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Mora.
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye. Thank you and welcome, Nick, and thanks for offering to take your Greenway experience fun into the larger realm of parks. Item 6.1.7 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville appointing a person as a business representative or a resident to serve on the Public Art Committee for a term that commences today and ends June 30th, 2025. There were 2 applicants for this position. They were Scott Donahue and Stuart Lynch. Do not see Scott Donahue in the room, and Stuart Lynch is here. So Stuart, if you'd like to unmute, good evening, and go ahead and take 2 minutes.
Hello, I'm Stuart Lynch. I'm originally from Wales in the United Kingdom, but I've been in the Bay Area for 23 years, and I've been living in Emeryville for around 8 or 9 of those. I'm a digital artist and consultant. I've been working for over 2 decades with the likes of Google, Adobe, Facebook, and I start on January 3rd for 1 year with Apple for their augmented reality department. My primary reason for applying was because, I'm going to pull from something I wrote earlier, but I said that I'm passionate about supporting and empowering those within our community who may not have access to the resources they need to succeed as artists, filmmakers, and musicians. And that's sort of like where I'm coming from as an applicant, is that I'd like to see a lot more focus on people who have these external needs and would like to come in and have access to tools and, musical tools, filmmaking tools that they don't otherwise have. So in the same vein as Pixar and a number of the studios that exist around here, but being on the committee to try to push for something a little bit more community-oriented in that sense. But of course, respecting the current agenda of the art committee and not trying to step on anyone's toes or anything. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Stuart. Are there questions for Stuart? Okay, there's no questions for Stuart. Now is the time for public comment. A member of the public who wishes to comment on the Public Art Committee appointment will have 2 minutes to do so. April, did we receive any written comments for the Public Art Committee agenda item?
No, Mayor, we did not.
Okay, public comment is now closed. Members, is there any discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to appoint, sorry, I just name just fell out of my mind. It's like Stuart Lynch.
Okay.
Thank you. As the resident representative to serve on the Public Art Committee for the term commencing tonight and ending June 30th, 2025.
I'll second this motion.
Thank you. We have a motion by Vice Mayor Welch and a second by Member Medina to appoint Stuart Lynch to the Art Committee. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Mora.
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye. Motion approves. Welcome, Mr. Lynch. Members, that is the end of the appointments agenda. Madam Clerk, the time is 7:09 p.m. and this special meeting is now adjourned. For the members of the public who are in attendance, the next meeting, we have two short meetings, the Management of Emeryville Services Authority business meeting and the Redevelopment Agency meeting, both of which have largely just very short agenda items, and those will begin at 7:14 in 4 minutes. We will return in 4 minutes. Members, welcome back. And to the members of the public, we're now going to move to our next meeting of the evening, which is the City of Emeryville as the Management of Emeryville Services Authority. Today is Tuesday, December 20th. The time is 7:14 p.m. Madam Clerk, I call this meeting to order. Please note I've already admonished the public on AB 361 as to the reasons for this remote meeting. And please note that all members are still present. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the final agenda for this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Member Medina and a second by Vice Mayor Welch to approve the agenda. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember Mora,
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch,
Aye.
and Mayor Bowders.
Aye, the agenda has been approved. Are there any ex parte communications for this meeting? Seeing and hearing none, now is the time for public comment. A member of the public who wishes to comment for an item not on the MESA agenda in the MESA agenda will have 1 minute to do so this evening. To receive any written comment cards for the MESA agenda?
No, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Public comment on the MESA agenda is now closed, and I'll turn to the action items. There's one action item, which is the AB 361 resolution for remote meetings. Is there any discussion on this motion? Okay, seeing none, is there any public comment on the action item for AB 361? Seeing none, okay, members, if there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move item 6.1.
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion by Member Medina, seconded by Vice Mayor Welch to approve 6.1. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember Mora,
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch,
Aye.
and Mayor Bowders.
Aye. Thank you, Madam Clerk. The time is 7:15, and I'm adjourning the meeting of the MESA Board. Madam Clerk, the time is still 7:15, and I'd like to call to order this meeting of Emeryville, sitting as the successor agency to the Emeryville Redevelopment Agency. Please note, as was previously stated, this meeting is being conducted pursuant to exemptions to the Brown Act under AB 361. And please note that all members are still present. This time, members, I'll entertain a motion to approve this agenda.
So moved.
Second the motion. Motion by Vice Mayor Welch, second by Mayor Bowders to approve the agenda. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember Mora,
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch,
Aye.
and Mayor Bowders.
Aye. Thank you. The agenda has been approved. Are there any ex parte communications? Seeing and hearing none, now is the time for public comment on non-agenda items. A member of the public who wishes to comment for an item not on tonight's agenda will have 2 minutes to do so. Do you receive any written comments for the non-agenda items?
No, Mayor.
Okay, thank you so much. So now we will move to the consent calendar. 2 items on the consent calendar. Is there any items that wish to be discussed? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion on the consent calendar.
I move consent.
I'll second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Welch, seconded by Member Medina to approve the consent calendar. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember Mora,
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch,
Aye.
and Mayor Bowders.
Aye. Thank you. Item 7.1, we have 2 action items. This is the resolution of the City Council approving the successor agency's calendar for next year. Now is the time for public comment. Members of the public who wish to comment on this item will have 2 minutes to do so. Do you receive any written comments, April?
No, Mayor.
Okay, we did not. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move the item.
Second.
Motion by Member Medina, seconded by Vice Mayor Welch to approve item 7.1. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember Mora,
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch,
Aye.
and Mayor Bowders.
Aye. Item 7.1 is approved, and item 7.2 is the AB 361 resolution for the redevelopment agency successor agency. Is there any public comment on item 7.2? Did you receive any written comments?
No, Mayor.
Okay. Public comment is over. Is there any discussion on 7.2? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move 7.2.
Second.
Motion by Member Medina, seconded by Vice Mayor Welch to approve item 7.2. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember Mora,
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch,
Aye.
and Mayor Bowders.
Aye. Thank you. The time is 7:18, Madam Clerk. I am adjourning the redevelopment agency as a successor to the redevelopment agency. Okay. The time now is 7:19 p.m. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the City Council of the City of Emeryville for Tuesday, December 20th, 2022. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to exemptions to the Brown Act authorized by Assembly Bill 361 during the COVID state of emergency. The city is considering and making findings not less than every 30 days that the state's state of emergency still exists and that it is in the health, safety, and welfare interests of the public, our staff, and our council members to continue meeting video conference during this time. We'll make those findings not less than every 30 days and consider them again tonight. Members of the public who are participating in this meeting via Zoom may choose to comment during agenda items as public comment is called for by using the raise hand feature on their Zoom bar or by pressing star and 9 on their telephone when I call for public comment, which will indicate that you wish to speak. You will be given a certain amount of time to speak for each item that's on the agenda tonight. And we have one space for non-agenda items in the consent calendar at item 9. At this time, I would like to ask if the clerk would take the roll.
Councilmember Medina.
Here.
Councilmember Mora.
Here.
Councilmember Pryforce.
Here.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Here.
And Mayor Bowders.
Here. Thank you. This time I'll entertain a motion to approve the final agenda for tonight's meeting.
I move to approve the final agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Vice Mayor Welch, seconded by Member Medina to approve agenda. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Mora.
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye. The agenda has been approved. Thank you. Special orders of the day. I do have a couple special orders of the day. Bear with me for a moment. First, I would like to say a couple thank yous. My first thank you is going to be for the amazing holiday parade we had back on December 2nd. And the person I want to thank first is Rebecca Sermeno. Rebecca has been serving as the acting community services department lead ever since Pedro Jimenez was promoted to the position of assistant city manager earlier this year. And Rebecca was presented with the unique challenge, which is to put on a spectacular holiday parade, which was enjoyed by everybody. And Rebecca and her team did a great job. I want to just thank especially the following people. In the Community Services Department, Rebecca, also Kim Burrows, Ellen Han, Andy Hang, and Chad Howard Simons for their work. I want to thank the city departments, which include the Public Works Department, but especially Daniel Gonzalez, Jamal Hudson, and Louis Conroy, who helped us with the staging of all the barriers for the event, and Antonio Thibodeau and Andre Williams, who assisted us with the route safety planning for the event. The Emeryville Police Department was on hand and did a fantastic job, not just providing a safe and car-free movement for us across the city to our tree lighting destination, but also for engaging folks outside Town Hall who were enjoying the festivities, especially the little ones. I also want to thank Chief West and the members of the Alameda County Fire Department who provided the fire engine as the tail end of our parade. We had route staff along the parade who I want to give a quick shout out to. Muna Abdullah, Sean Belcher, Mason Chen, David Gilroy, Beatrice Kazia, Carlos Malave, Leilani Melancon, Tia Mole, Otis Price, Miles Stanford Nguyen, and Mylin Trong. All of you who provided attendance, support. It was great to see all the staff out there. And I also want to give a special shout out to Cameron, Hanadi, and Jalen, who were our bike valets at Bay Street. And likewise, there were a lot of partners who helped support this event. John Eric Henry from Pinnacle Drone Lights captured a lot of video and photo footage of the event, which we hope to share with you soon. We had folks from Albany Strollers and Rollers who volunteered to assist with the bike valet. The banners that were installed along Horton Street to help provide some decoration during the construction period at Biomed were put up by Hathaway Dinwiddie, who are doing the construction through Bill Randall and his team. Rock the Bike came out to provide the music for our sing-along. Pixar was staffed by Kathy, Alyssa, and Patty. Some other volunteers they had there at Park Avenue to provide giveaways and candy to the kids. The Honor Brass Band, led by Daniel Herrera, was there to entertain everyone at City Hall. And Rob Allen and his crew at Blue Heron Bikes, and Jamie Tibbetts and his crew at Extra Cycle. Blue Heron is in Berkeley and Extra Cycle is in Marin. They also provided the cargo bikes to us from their stores for Santa's sleigh. And Krista Williams and the entire team at Bay Street for helping us put on a phenomenal event, as well as all the partner stores at Bay Street. So I want to just begin by thanking everybody who was involved. It was completely a team effort. I also want to thank Pedro Jimenez for helping coordinate a lot of that work. Really showed the city and the public what we can do when we all work together. It was a really fantastic event. I've received nothing but positive comments about it, and I look forward to us having a great event again next year. Beyond that, I have another thank you, which is today I had the opportunity to participate at a place I volunteer at regularly, the Emeryville Citizens Assistance Program. I want to give a very special thank you to Christina Spacco. Christina Spacco is a member of the Emeryville Police Department's dispatch team. She's been with our department for 3 years, and she has been instrumental in a number of things that go beyond providing help and assistance to people who are calling our dispatch line for assistance. She's been part of the Pink Patch Project related to breast cancer awareness at the police department. She's supported and assisted with Coffee with a Cop and the National Night Out event that we have across the city. It was her idea to have the police department get involved in One Warm Coat, which collected coats and other winter clothing items that are gently used or new to provide to people who are most in need. Speaking from experience as a person who's been unhoused and as someone who has worked in homelessness services most of my adult life, I'm grateful to people who see people who are often invisible in the community. And I want to thank the members of the police department. Unfortunately, due to some overtime needs, Christina was not able to join us at ECAP today because she was covering another shift. But Captain Collins, Chief Jeff Jennings, Sergeant Rojas, Officer White, and Lieutenant Fred Dower all joined me at ECAP with Bobby Smith and Nellie Mae Hannon to deliver those, which are going to be shared with the most needy members of the Alameda County community who visit ECAP. So just want to thank all the members of the city staff who have been instrumental this year in helping bring joy to the residents across the community and who are also keeping their eye on the needs of those who have the most unmet needs in the county and the community and helping us prioritize them as we go into the holiday season again. So thank you to all those members. That concludes the special orders of the day. We will turn now to announcements on committee and commission vacancies, and we just completed a committee appointment, but do we have any future commission or committee vacancies to report, Madam Clerk?
We do have a vacancy on the Planning Commission with Councilmember Mora promoting to the council. So we are looking at doing a recruitment sooner than our planned March time, but I need to get back with Lorraine and discuss that, and then I will inform the council of when we're opening that recruitment.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so that will take us to item 6, which is council member special announcements on meetings reporting on that you were in attendance. Is there any council member who attended a special meeting since our last meeting that they wish to report on? Member Medina.
Yeah, I think it is phenomenally exciting updates from our interagency liaison committee meetings with AC Transit that San Pablo Avenue's corridor redevelopment will be breaking ground in 2025. It's the project I'm personally most excited on. I know Mayor Bowder says 40th Street, San Pablo was my white whale. It's one of our highest injury networks, and I am so excited to finally see concrete steps forward in making this corridor safer. It's a half mile of our 1.2 square mile city. It has schools and senior housing on it, and making this street better for buses, bikes, and pedestrians and safer to cross is going to transform our city in a radical way.
Thank you. And I join in your excitement. San Pablo is a big project, and we look forward to that getting under construction in the near future. Any other members who wish to report about a meeting that they were in attendance on? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to agenda item number 7, which is the city manager's report. Mr. Pulitzer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Just a few items here. The mayor mentioned Rebecca Ceramiano. She was also just recently went through an internal process for the community services director position. We had 2 candidates for that position that we sent through a process that included an outside panel, included meeting with the management team, and then eventually recommendation from the assistant city manager and city manager to our incoming city manager, Paul Butenhagen. And I am very excited to announce that effective January 3rd, Rebecca will be serving as our new community service director. So when you see her and see her out and about, please give her congratulations and a pat on the back for all the work that she and her team are involved in. We're really excited about the next chapter of the Community Service Department as we come out of COVID and back into programming and special events. There's a lot of excitement as we move forward here. On a similar note, tomorrow, Trish Ravar and I will be meeting with 6 of the top 31 candidates for the finance director position that we're recruiting for. And we have Terry Black and Associates that's been assisting us in that process. These 6 have made it through the first round of interviews, and so we hope to narrow this down to the top 2 or 3, and in the beginning of the new year, meet with them, also with our incoming city manager, Paul Boonhagen, and make a offer if we have a finalist that comes out of this group. So we're excited to get the team completely reestablished here as we come into the new year. I've mentioned Paul now a couple times, a reminder that he will start. His first meeting will be at your next meeting, first meeting in the new year, which will be January 17th. So everyone is very excited for his arrival. And then last, I just want to wish you and the community and all of our team a happy and healthy new year, and look forward to great things from the city of Emeryville and its community as we go into 2023. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and to the council members, welcome, and happy to answer any questions you all have for me.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the city manager about the report? Okay, no, I just want to congratulate Rebecca on her promotion, and I want to congratulate Paul on joining us soon. And as much as we are happy that he will be joining us, Adam, I will equally be sad that you will be leaving us, but we will save those comments for January. So thank you so much. We'll move now to ex parte communications. Members, are there any items on the agenda for which you've had an ex parte communication this evening that you'd like to report? I will go in clerk order. So I will ask first, Member Medina, do you have any items that you wish to report?
I received several emails over the past couple of days about item 11.1, the biomed noise waiver request.
Okay, thank you. Member Moore, do you have anything to report?
No communications to report.
Okay, Member Pryforce?
No.
Okay, Vice Mayor Welch?
I did receive an email from Sharon Wiltshire on item 11.1.
Okay, and for me, on item 11.1, I did receive an email from Sharon Wiltshire regarding the Biomed Realty project. I feel like there was one other one. Oh, that was from the prior meeting. That was the commenters for the EDAC committee. But we're on ex parte communications, and so I need to report a recusal. So on item 11.1 this evening, which is the biomed item, which I will just state for the record now has been pulled, but will still be heard because it's on the agenda technically. I am recused because my home is within 1,000 feet of proximity to the project. And so I have a conflict. My home is at 4260 Halleck Street, and I will be recusing myself from any discussion and passing the gavel to the Vice Mayor to conduct the public hearing related to that item. Okay? All right. So that covers ex parte communications and recusals. And we will move to public comment for the consent calendar or items not on the agenda. A member of the public who wishes to comment for something that's not on the agenda or an item on tonight's consent calendar will have 2 minutes to do so. You can use the raise hand feature at the bottom of the Zoom bar. And if you're joining us by phone, you can press *9. I'll first begin by asking if the clerk would please recognize Elf Citizen, please, for 2 minutes. Good evening.
Happy holidays, everybody. Okay, bye.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other members of the public who wish to comment for consent items or items not on the agenda? And did we receive any written comment cards, April?
No, Mayor, we did not.
Okay, thank you so much. Public comment is now closed, and we will turn to the consent calendar. That's items 10.1 through 10.12 inclusive. Members, are there any items that you wish to comment on, pull for debate, or otherwise have a conversation about? Okay, seeing none, now's the time. Well, actually, we had public comment, so seeing none, I'll entertain a motion on the consent calendar.
I'll move consent.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made by Member Medina, seconded by Vice Mayor Welch to approve the consent calendar. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Mora.
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye. Thank you. Those items are approved. Now we're at item 11.1, and Madam Clerk, if you could please remove me to the attendees, and I will pass the virtual gavel over to the Vice Mayor to conduct this public hearing. Can you move me to attendee, April?
Mayor, I'm sorry. If I remove you, it says that you won't be able to get back in the meeting. So,
Oh, because I'm a panelist?
because you're a panelist. So I removed your co-host abilities. If you drop off, you'll be able to get back on. But if I remove you, I'm afraid that you won't be able to get back on. When I hit remove, it says once removed, John J. Bowders will not be able to rejoin the webinar.
Well, let's not do that. So I will leave the meeting, and if someone would just please send me an email or a text to let me know when the item 11.1 is finished, as I'm not going to give comment on it, I will return. Okay, and I'll have to figure out how to leave this meeting. Okay, hopefully I don't end this meeting by leaving.
You're not a
You will
co-host,
not.
you should be able
Okay,
to.
great.
Okay. This is a public hearing on item 11.1, the Biomed Realty noise waiver request. As the mayor noted, the request has been withdrawn. However, we will be moving forward with the public hearing. And so, Madam Clerk, the time is 7:35 p.m. I'm opening the public hearing. Any member of the public that would like to comment on this item will have 1 minute to do so. Madam Clerk, do we have any hands raised from any of the attendees to make a comment?
We do not, Vice Mayor Welch, but I do have a written comment.
All right, please read it into the record.
All right. Dear Mayor Bowders, Vice Mayor Welch, and City Council members, on behalf of the 45th Street Artists Cooperative, I am writing in support of staff's recommendation denying a waiver for the noise ordinance to allow work from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. on all Mondays between January 9th and May 22nd, 2023 for work at Biomed Realty's garage building 14 under construction at 4555 Horton Street. Our live work building at 1420 45th Street at Horton is in close proximity to building 14 as indicated in the staff report and also in Exhibit B of the applicant's request letter. For several years now, with both the Quartera and Steel Wave construction directly across the street from our buildings, our members have been subjected to construction noise, daily dust, construction supply deliveries, traffic disruptions, etc. Now, both of these continuing construction sites have been joined by Biomed Realty's work on their garage to the immediate north on Horton with its own set of noise, deliveries, and traffic disruption. I commend our resident members for their patience during this time. While we look forward to the day when all three of these projects reach completion and result in new neighborhoods and neighbors, partners, new green spaces, bike ped pathways, and amenities opening up for the whole community, we request that no mornings in the winter spring of 2023 include any work at 4555 Horton Street before 7 a.m. Thank you for your consideration of our request. Sincerely, Sharon Wilshire, Community Liaison, 45th Street Artists Cooperative.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And seeing no additional hands raised and having no additional electronic submittals, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. Madam Clerk, it is 7:38 p.m. Members, I will turn to you. At this time, there are no actions to take on this item. We had two resolutions that we don't need to vote on. Does anyone have any other additional questions or comments?
Can you share why we won't be voting on it, just to make it clear to the public?
Yes, as we mentioned before, the request was withdrawn.
And the request was withdrawn from who?
From the city.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, at this time we can invite the mayor back. Just give him a moment to reappear.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I am back, and we are now on item 12.1, which is consideration of travel authorization for Mayor Bowders, Vice Mayor Welch, and Council Members Mora and Pryforce for various items and committees and commissions that they were appointed to at the last meeting that have travel associated with their responsibilities for calendar year 2023. And April, there's no formal presentation on this item, correct?
No, Mayor, there is not. It's just a discussion item for the council.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So there are, just for the benefit of the public, at the last meeting, committee and commission appointments were made to regional entities and boards. Member Pryforce and Mora were appointed to the League of California Cities, which has conference travel. They were also invited to attend the new council member training in Sacramento. And Vice Mayor Welch is the alternate for that, and is also the alternate to the mayor's conference, which I have the opportunity to attend this coming year if approved. So we'll call now for public comment. Members of the public who wish to comment on item 12.1 have 2 minutes to do so. Do you receive any written comment for item 12.1, April?
No, we did not, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Public comment is now closed, and I'll turn to discussion. Is there any member who wishes to discuss this further? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move approval.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor Welch has made a motion. It's been seconded by Member Medina to authorize reimbursement for the travel on these items. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Mora.
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye, thank you. Item 12.2 is a discussion on the timing for return to in-person city council meetings and the council direction on the use of technology for virtual public participation. And I'll turn that over to the clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, I do not have a formal presentation, but I was going to walk through the staff report and give you a little background on the reason for our recommendation on timing of returning to in-person council meetings. In March 2020, the governor issued a proclamation of a state of emergency due to COVID-19, and then later on that month allowed legislative bodies to meet via teleconference without violating the open meeting laws put forth in the Brown Act. AB 361 was signed by the governor in September of 2021, and it continued to allow local agencies to use teleconferencing without complying with the Brown Act rules, as long as they adopted the findings every 30 days. The city of Emeryville adopted those findings in November of 2021 and has continued to meet virtually since that time by adopting the AB 361 resolution every 30 days. The use of remote technology for public meetings over the last 2.5+ years has allowed the city to ensure the public's continued access to public meetings and also ensuring their safety. In October of this year, Governor Newsom announced that he plans to end the COVID-19 state of emergency on February 28th, 2023. The provisions that allow for remote meeting teleconferencing under AB 361 will expire on the same day as the end of the state of emergency. Staff met and we evaluated some changes to the chamber, and we are ready to go back to in-person meetings whenever the council is ready. But we assumed that the council would probably want to continue to allow video participation also for the public. So we did some initial testing in the council chambers, and it was encouraging. There are a few needs that we identified. It's a little more complicated doing a hybrid meeting, and by hybrid I mean in-person and a virtual platform. We're assuming that we'll probably continue to use Zoom since we've become comfortable with that, and it provides a good public experience. Staff needs time to make some modifications, some minor modifications to the chamber and complete more testing on the hybrid model. The reason that staff chose February 7th as the first recommended meeting for in-person is that we need to test the technology and make those additional modifications. There'd be a second meeting in February, which is scheduled for February 21st, to do additional testing. The answers that we'd like from council tonight are, number one, Do you want to continue to do, or do you want to do a hybrid technology meeting, an in-person and a virtual platform meeting? And then what's the date that you'd like to start the in-person meetings? Realizing that as of March 1st, a quorum of the council will have to meet in person no matter what.
Okay, thank you. Are there any clarifying questions for the city clerk? So we've currently made the AB 361 finding, and we've continued to do that. We have the ability to continue these meetings remote until the end of February, which time we have to come back in person. There is a law that was passed, AB 2449, that authorizes very rare exceptions for remote participation for individual members, but it requires a whole bunch of things that would be, I think, very onerous for the city clerk to try to keep track of. Requires people showing just cause for why they need to be remote for a given meeting. It limits the number of times you can do that while you're in office. It limits the sequence. You can't do a certain number of them in a row. It also requires that a quorum be present, which basically means if somebody didn't show to meet the quorum, all of the agenda items in meeting would have to be moved, which would be very problematic for city business. So our hope is that when we go back, whatever that looks like, we go back, we're just going back in order to make this, facilitate this for the clerk and the staff. I guess the question is, April, the goal with having us come back, staff report recommends coming back to a meeting in February, is to give you the opportunity to test everything in a live setting so that when we have to be back no matter what, we will have ironed out any kinks that may exist. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor. While we can do all of the testing that we can possibly think of, there is nothing like a live meeting with public participation, both virtually and in person. So we want to make sure that everything is working smoothly and that we can deliver the experience to council and the public that they expect.
Okay, thank you. Now is the time for public comment. A member of the public who wishes to comment on this item will have 2 minutes to do so. Do you receive any written comment cards for this item?
Yes, we did, Mayor.
Can you please read the comment for up to 2 minutes into the record?
Yes. This is a letter from interim SEIU president regarding action item 12.2. Dear Mayor Bowders and council members, this letter is in regards to action item 12.2, in which staff is requesting council to provide direction as to whether to offer a virtual teleconference alternative for public participation at city council meetings, and recommends that all city commission and committee meetings return to in-person only meetings beginning March 1, 2023. While the staff report discusses some considerations for city council meetings, it makes a flat recommendation for committee meetings to be in-person only with no explanation. SEIU recommends that, number one, hybrid meetings are made standard for all public meetings, city council, planning commission, and committees. Number two, in-person requirements for attendance are made as flexible as possible. This will provide flexibility and facilitate employee efficiency so that employees may work on other projects while they wait for their meeting items, something that can't be done in person. This may also allow consultants and applicants to participate efficiently as well. Number three, that you direct staff to gather best practices regarding operational details, as many cities in the area are already holding hybrid public meetings. Number four, that outreach is conducted to inform how to best meet the needs of the public, electeds, appointeds, consultants, and staff. To our knowledge, no public outreach has been conducted to inform how to move forward with public meetings. SEIU's membership is directly impacted by decisions pertaining to the function of public meetings and how they will be operated after the end of the declared COVID-19 state emergency. Instead of abandoning the technology that has allowed us to meet remotely over the past few years, we have the opportunity to continue incorporating innovations to encourage efficiency, sustainability, cost savings, public participation, and promote equality. All of these issues are dynamic and discussed by the American Planning Association. That's the end of the 2 minutes, Mayor. There's quite a bit more.
And I believe for those of us who disclosed a public ex parte communication, we received this email communication today. So thank you so much. Were there any other written comments?
No, Mayor, there were not.
Okay, public comment is now closed. We'll turn to discussion. Are there members who wish to discuss the item? It is a discussion item. Yeah.
I'll discuss. Yeah, not.
Okay, so
Sorry.
that's fine. In the future, if you could just, I try to use the raise hand feature while we're virtual, just so that people don't all speak over each other at once. If we could do that, that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you, Member Pryforce.
No problem. I just remember last time it was difficult for you to see it.
It
Yeah,
actually
so-
moves you to the top corner of my box now. So
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, awesome, cool. Yeah, so no, I think it's a good idea. I definitely would recommend that we shift to a hybrid meeting. It would be much more inclusive, and especially for our differently abled community, allows them to be able to fully participate. And so, yeah, so I think it would be a good idea for us to implement these hybrid meetings and whatever you need to test them out. Yeah.
Thank you. Other members who wish to comment? No, I have a couple comments. Oh, Member Welch.
No, I second those sentiments about inclusivity. Obviously, prior to the pandemic, everything was across the board more standard around in-person meetings. Being a parent of young children, I understand the difficulties that come into play when you are trying to juggle family life, after school needs for children, and having that option for the public to participate. If someone needs to call in, they are really excited or very passionate about an item that we may be covering, and they really want their voice to be heard. I think it is something that definitely needs to be explored if we truly want to make sure that we're being inclusive of all of our community members and all of their responsibilities.
Thank you, Member Medina.
I agree with my colleagues that it's significantly more inclusive to allow the public to comment from home or wherever they are. I also got to say, having served for 6 years now, so half in and half out of the pandemic, for my colleagues who haven't gotten to do an in-person meeting, I'm excited for them because it is a different feeling to do an in-person one. And obviously, I think we made the absolute best choices in terms of staff and our own safety. But if we need to go back, I'm a little bit excited for the opportunity to have a direct public interaction. For better or for worse, it's the lifeblood of democracy.
Thank you. So I just want to agree that I think hybrid meetings, we have had an opportunity. I think the state legislature fell flat in their opportunity to modernize the Brown Act. In order, yeah, I see a lot of nods, to modernize the Brown Act to actually accommodate and be more accessible to people. So I also support the hybridization of meetings. The state law is going to be such that for us as council people, we will need to essentially largely be in person. There are still pre-existing provisions of the Brown Act that if you need to be home, and as long as we've noticed it, like if you know you're traveling and you need to be gone, you can still publicly notice a location that can be posted, and there's the rules, and the clerk can walk you through that. If we need to do that, as long as it's prior to our posting deadline, we can accommodate that. But the ability to hear from the public in a meeting when they can't always participate, as a couple members have stated already, I think is really critical. The question I have for you, April, is there's a difference here with some of the resident committees versus the council meetings and commissions, which are already set up for the chambers. The resident committees meet at other places like the ECCL and other parts of City Hall. So do we have the technology in place to do that, or is there an effort underway to ensure that we will have the technology to do that? So if there is any gap, if we need to tell people, hey, it's going to be in person for a month or two while we get this set up, if that's the case, but we will be able to move to hybrid, is that the city staff's intent right now?
At the time of writing the staff report, we were not looking at the committees and commissions. We were simply focused on the council chamber and the city council. Between when this was written and now, we've had a chance to meet with some outside consultants and talk about doing hybrid meetings for the advisory bodies. So there is definitely a push for that. Our goal was to first get the council set up, but it actually sounds like there are some positive moves towards getting the advisory bodies and commissions into a type of hybrid environment also.
Okay, I have other questions, but I'll recognize Councilmember Mora first.
Yeah, real briefly, I just wanted to concur with the sentiments about the accessibility for folks to see what's going on and follow the action of the city council. But my main concern is on the last point, which is, obviously in an ideal world, everything could be hybrid, right? We don't have to throw out these digital tools, and we can, folks can benefit from the ability to participate using technology. I'm traveling in Los Angeles right now, and if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be able to be here. But I think as the staff continues to figure out what it entails, I'm very interested in the cost, right? If everything becomes hybrid, does that create a undue burden financially onto the city? And then do we have to pick and choose maybe a subset of meetings that become hybrid? But ideally, I'd love to see everything become hybrid. So please keep us appraised of those plans.
Madam Clerk, would you like to respond to the question about cost?
Yes, Councilmember Mora, we don't have any hard costs at this point. We just met with the consultants. Making the minor upgrades to the chamber right now is not going to be a large cost. The larger cost for making advisory bodies hybrid, we are waiting on a quote for what those types of costs would be. But I think that they're going to be manageable and not big capital costs that we have to output right now.
Member Pryforce.
I would like to, chat with the IT folks who are helping to set that up. I can't, I can't describe how many times, because our church uses a hybrid setup. And then when we switch to the Zoom part, when everyone's like doing prayers, and then somebody goes, yes, and I want to pray for, and then it gets like awkward, and we're all like just waiting. And so I hope that so now the church has a whole setup to do a backup. So they remove the laptop, they move the camera, and then they place another system. So I hope that the IT consultants are also sharing in those kind of contingencies, that there is another setup that is possible just in case there's hard drive failure, or just in case there's somebody who comes into the area who has a device that can block Wi-Fi, a certain Wi-Fi signal, and so that we can go either 5.0 or 2.4 when it comes to our wireless signal. So those things, I would definitely recommend that we have some sort of backup once as we're testing this hybrid setup. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we, two things. One, April, can we pass that to the IT folks as a piece of comment or feedback so that there can be further input provided to the council about that? And Member Pryforce's comment raised a question that I want to ask the legal department. If we notice a meeting as hybrid, and let's say, as Member Pryforce noted, that the Wi-Fi freezes or it goes down or it's intercepted or blocked or something, does it negate the adequacy of the meeting if it's been noticed as hybrid, or is it sufficient that the meeting is continuing in an in-person location?
John Kennedy, City Attorney. If you are not able to take public comment and there's members of the public that want to comment on agenda items and they're not able to do that, we would suggest adjourning the meeting until you have the ability to have that public comment.
Great, that's what I thought. Thank you so much. So members, there was a couple items that we were asked to provide direction on. It's a consensus item, it's not a motion item. But the first question is whether we support having committees, commissions, and the council going to a hybrid format. It sounds like I heard everybody say yes. Is there anybody who disagrees with that direction for any reason? Okay, April, you have direction for staff on hybridization for the meetings moving forward. The next item, members, that I heard was the date to return for the council. I think all the other committees and commissions, we're planning on not having them start until March, which is when they're required to start. but there was a suggestion of February, the first meeting in February, which is, I think, the 7th. Is that correct, April?
That's correct.
Okay, are folks fine with us start doing that with the understanding that we're doing that to basically test run this for all of our committees and commissions in advance, so our residents don't get stuck with meetings that don't work when we get to March? Is everyone fine with coming back on February 7th? Okay, I'm seeing nobody disagree. Thank you, Kalima. I'm seeing nobody disagree, so we'll plan to have our first return in person at the City Council chambers for a meeting to be February 7th, 2023. And we'll, I think, assess how that works and see if we have all the adequate technology and backups in place. And if it doesn't, we have the opportunity for the second meeting in February to remain remote if we need to while that gets sorted out before we have to do this in March. Are there other items you wanted direction on tonight, April?
No, thank you, Mayor. That's everything. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for that direction.
Thank you. And I just want to acknowledge the staff comment from SEIU and its membership. And I want to just note that with respect to the request about the personal in-presence nature of certain staff members for meetings, that is a management level decision. As to we made a decision at the last meeting to not require in our council rules that department heads appear at all of the committees, and that they can designate and assign people from their departments to represent them. And I think that consistent with that, it should remain within the purview and the discretion of management and the department heads as to how they wish their staff to appear at meetings, because I think personal circumstances and the gravitas of the natures in front of committees will change by each committee and by the needs of each employee. So that should, my recommendation to council is that we should just encourage the management to be thoughtful in devising a process with staff on that. Okay, I don't see any other hands for this item. So thank you, members, for that discussion. That concludes item 12.2. Item 12.3, I need to announce a correction to the title of this item. Is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville adopting the City Council regular meeting calendar for February 2023 through January 2024. That's a typo, but all the attachments are correct. The calendar is provided as an agenda item and an attachment. There's no formal presentation, I've been told, so we'll turn to public comment. Members of the public who wish to comment on the calendar for next year can have 2 minutes to do so. April, did we receive any written comments for this item?
No, Mayor, we did not.
Thank you so much. Public comment is now closed. Members, is there any discussion of this item? If not, I'll entertain a motion on it.
I move approval of the calendar.
Thank you. I'll make a second to the motion. There's been a motion by Vice Mayor Welch, seconded by Mayor Bowders, to approve the 2023 to January 2024 City Council calendar. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Mora.
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye. Thank you. And we'll go now to item 12.4, which is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville appointing its standby officers for council member succession in the event of a declared emergency during calendar year 2023. This is a disaster preparedness plan we have as part of our plan. I understand that we need to give our newly elected council members a little more time to identify and speak with the people in the community they would like to have sit in their stead. They need to be residents of the City of Emeryville who are of electoral age to be able to serve in that stead, and the city clerk will provide more information. But because we are going into 2023, and because there was a 6.3 earthquake in Humboldt County this morning, and there's been quite a few of them lately, and you never know when our time and our number will be called. So for the ongoing members, we just wanted to approve those standby officers, and we'll have a subsequent item for members Pryforce and more in the future. So those items are attached as an exhibit to the agenda item. Is there any public comment for the standby officers for calendar year 2023? Did we receive any written comments?
No, Mayor, we did not.
Thank you, April. Comment is closed. Is there any discussion on this item? Member Pryforce?
I just want to apologize to Vice Mayor Welch. It took me like almost a year for me to complete the paperwork to be your standby officer. And so whoever I choose to be my standby officer, I just hope they don't do a Kalima and wait a year.
Did we amend your roster, Member Welch, to reflect that he can't be a standby when he's already got a seat?
We did. I had to update, yes.
Okay, thank you. Member Mora?
I noticed some of the standbys are the same. How does that work? Does it have to be a different order?
No, so the way it traditionally works is that these are people who you've spoken with who are willing to, they'll be contacted in the order in which they're listed. So you can use a person that someone else has used, that's okay. If, because we don't know if I'm going to get killed by the earthquake or if you're going to get killed by the earthquake, right? So we don't hope that happens. That's always the goal here in our city. But if that was to happen and you were to have Mary Jones as your standby, regardless of the number in the spot, and I was to have Mary Jones, if one of us was to be incapacitated, not able to serve, and a disaster declaration was made, we'd go down that list. And if Mary Jones was able to serve for you, that's fine. If both of us were in that situation, that's why we have 3 people. The idea being that we would find different people, because these are people who've already said, if I am available, essentially they're not also a tragedy in the disaster, they would be willing to step into this seat while we have what's called a disaster council, which I'm sure we will have at some point in the next year an opportunity to apprise all the new council members about how our disaster system works. We usually get an annual update somewhere in the fall, I believe, about that. But with the, and I really want to thank, I got to make sure I thank Lori Elephant tonight. I really want to thank Lori Elephant from our HR department, who is retiring at the end of this year, who has been in service to the city for many years, who helped us put our entire disaster, hazard, and emergency response mitigation plan together, which is a comprehensive plan we have in the city. And it provides for a number of things, which also includes how we operate in a state of emergency. But these are essentially people who would step into the role of conducting the city's business if one of us was to disappear or be incapacitated. So it's okay if we have overlap.
Understood. Thank you for the grim detailing.
Sorry. Try to keep it high level and high bar, but this is a hard one. Member Price.
No, I get it. Thank you.
No problem. Member Price.
Well, I would just want to recommend to David that because the document is from the city and because it's a document that they have to sign, that it might be considered spam to some people. And so you may want to check in with them to check their spam folder if it goes into there, because they may say, oh, I never got it or I never saw it.
Yeah, thanks. I'll talk to them personally. Thanks, Member Priforce.
Okay, so with the officers we have on the list for today's agenda, is there any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move the item.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made by Member Medina and seconded by Vice Mayor Welch. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Mora.
Aye.
Councilmember Priforce.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye, thank you. And our last agenda item on action items is a resolution of the City Council making the required findings to continue holding the remote meetings pursuant to AB 361. Is there any public comment on item 12.5 for AB 361? Did we receive any written comment cards?
No, Mayor.
Okay, public comment is now closed. Is there any discussion or debate? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move approval of the resolution.
I'll second.
Thank you. A motion has been made by Vice Mayor Welch and seconded by Member Medina to approve this resolution. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Mora.
Aye.
Councilmember Priforce.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Aye.
And Mayor Bowders.
Aye, thank you. Item 13 is the department head reports, and I'd like to welcome up Mr. Bryant. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor Bowders. Thank you. And members of the City Council, this is my regular report to you on the recent actions of the Planning Commission. Their most recent meeting was a couple of weeks ago on Thursday, December 8th. And I would note that all 7 commissioners were present at the meeting. They had 4 items on their agenda as listed here on your agenda. The first 2 were public hearings. The first item was the Prize Fighter Bottle Shop, which is next door to the Prize Fighter Bar at 67th and Hollis Street. This was consideration of a major conditional use permit for a retail sale of beer, wine, and spirits. The commission approved this application unanimously. I will note that this item is appealable to the City Council within 15 days, and that appeal deadline is this coming Friday, December 23rd. Obviously, if the council wishes to appeal this item to yourselves, this is your opportunity to do that.
I will also note that earlier on tonight's agenda, on the consent calendar, you approved a finding of public convenience or necessity, which is a requirement of the state alcoholic beverage control department for this bottle shop. The next item was the housing element of the general plan, and the commission, as you know, voted unanimously to recommend that the city council adopt it, which you did at your last meeting. The next two items were study sessions. First was the active transportation plan. They had a good discussion about that. I will note that that item is coming to you at your next meeting for a study session, and the commission's comments will be summarized in that staff report. And then finally, the commission held a study session on the Bay Center Life Science Project, which is a proposed new 210,000 square foot research and development building and associated parking garage and open space at the Bay Center campus, which is this building will be at the corner of 64th and Christie Avenue. And they had a good discussion about that. I will note that Commissioner Gitzoni was recused on that item because the applicant is a client of his employer. And that concludes my report. I'd be happy to respond to any questions you may have.
Thank you. Members, are there any questions for Mr. Bryan about the report? I would just note, members, that item 13A related to the prize fighter bottle shop this is the last time that the council has the chance to appeal it. In the 15-day period, as was noted, we approved the licensure items and the consent calendar, but I just want to, for the record, ask if there's anybody who wishes to appeal the decision of the Planning Commission for 13A. Okay, seeing none, thank you, Mr. Bryant, for your report. Mr. Politzer, are there any other department heads who have reports this evening?
No, Mr. Mayor, they are not. Thank you.
Okay, that will bring us to item 14, which is the future agenda items for the evening. And I would like to ask if there are any members who have a future agenda item that they would like to request for the City Council meeting in 2023. Member Medina.
Yeah, I think this is the most appropriate place for this item because it may create a need for future agenda items. Yeah, it has been a pleasure and privilege to serve the city for the past 6 years. Unfortunately, tonight I am announcing my resignation from the City Council effective mid-January. This is going to be my last City Council meeting. The reasons are pretty simple. I quit the job I had when I first got elected back in 2016. I was working for a labor union, and the hours and travel required were incompatible with my council responsibilities. I decided to take a chance on being self-employed over the past several years, and consulting allowed me the flexibility to maintain both my responsibilities to the city and make enough of a living to afford my Emeryville rent, which, as we all know, the council stipend does not pay. But it did mean I hit a ceiling in my career advancement by my late 20s. The requirements for the job of being elected are not light. Everyone's now gone through their first council packet, and this was a pretty small one. There's a lot of reading for it. There's a ton of meetings. It is a time commitment, and I've made that time commitment, and I've prioritized that in my life for the last 6 years. The previously elected council body voted to max out the raise we were legally allowed to give future council members and to cut down on the requirements by reducing local committee obligations. And I think those are fantastic steps towards making this a more doable work-life balance for future council members. Ultimately, I started a job earlier this year, which has promoted me and provided me with the kind of career that I can support a family on, which is increasingly important to me at this age. And so it seemed a pretty unreal opportunity, given my background in politics, to ever potentially be able to do so in the Bay Area. I'm going to be moving next month to take advantage of this career opportunity and thus unable to continue holding my council seat. A very reasonable question would be if I knew this was a possibility prior to the election, and the answer is yes, I absolutely did. And I carefully considered what it would mean for the election and for the city if I were to discuss it prior to literally right now. I decided what would be most fair to the candidates was to have an election that was solely about the 2 open seats and about them. And so I chose to keep this private and to be really involved in the last election cycle. In particular, I chose to focus the remaining time I had to give the city pounding the pavement and helping to pass Measure O to put the city in the best financial position possible as we moved into 2023 in interviewing city manager candidates. The newly elected city council here tonight will have the opportunity to select somebody to fill the vacancy, and I think that is the most fair way I could have done it. There might be differences of opinions, but I truly did think through this process and try to figure out what was going to be most reasonable for the newly elected members who worked really, really hard to get these seats. Like, it's not easy. and wanted to progress to be correctly on that election. I am certain our city has all the ingredients it needs for success without me. It has prudent financial practices, as the state auditor has noted, has amazing staff. It's been guided by a really fantastic interim city manager who we were really lucky to have. We have an incoming amazing city manager that I know Berkeley is mad at us for getting. And I leave it in the hands of council, who I know will continue to work with the collegiality and ambitiousness that we've been renowned for and even called technocratic for by some rude journalists. I'd like to thank the residents of the city for the opportunity to serve over the previous 6 years.
Are we allowed to respond?
Yes, I'm giving her a moment because I saw her getting emotional, and I don't see that very often, to be honest with you, in the way that she's expressing right now. So I'm just giving her a moment. That was a lot. So this is not an agenda item, but I understand now why you put it at this point in the agenda. So just to your point, Member Pryforce, your request to respond, we can't have a substantive discussion about it, but if you wish to make a comment, you're welcome to make a comment.
So this is poverty, the issues of income, issues of anything where a person has to struggle and choose between public service and paying the bills is something that I've been coming across a lot. And I remember doing more research into the history of the city council and that sort of thing. And when I was reading about Kowalski and the level of destitution he was in later on in his life, for someone who loved Emeryville and committed to Emeryville, but had to borrow so much money and had to just live in a way that it shouldn't be. So I just want to share that that at some point I would love for us to address, and this is not official, whatever, maybe at the next meeting I'll officially say, hey, I would like this addressed at another meeting, but it's just something that that I've come across a lot on the campaign trail and especially interacting with our council member colleagues in other cities, that I think we should really review at least an option for our city council membership to be full-time with a full-time salary. And if someone has a great job and you can't do it, okay, well, they can't do it. But I think that there should at least be an option for that, with benefits and people being able to take care of themselves. And I think that that's I think that that's something that we should explore. And so so Ali, I'm really sorry to hear that you came to this decision because of those reasons. And and hopefully I can help change that in the future, and hopefully my colleagues will agree with me. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to emphasize that, I made it work for a really long time. There's definitely ways to do it. It's just not compatible with my current career goals, right? And I made a deeply personal decision, and it is a hard trade-off, and I totally think that this is a worthwhile discussion to continue.
Thank you. Member Welch.
I just wanted to thank Member Medina for her service and her support. She was the first council member to officially endorse me, and so she's been rocking with me ever since. And no matter where the world and your career takes you, you always have a home here.
Allie, I'm going to digest all of this, and I'm going to wait until the January meeting, because we hope, will you be available to take a farewell or anything? Or when you said mid-January, what's your plan?
I'm moving on January 15th. So we don't have a council meeting prior to then, but I could Zoom in if you want to do something.
Okay, we'll talk offline about how to do that with the city manager. But given what you've said, Mr. City Attorney, if I want to propose a future agenda item, or do I need to propose a future agenda item to discuss the process for filling a vacancy? And the reason I'm asking you is, does she need to be recused from the dais at this point, since I believe she can't participate in the conversation, correct?
Mr. Mayor, what you could do is accept the resignation, and assuming that there is a vacancy on the January 17th City Council meeting, you could then ask that there be an agenda item at that meeting to discuss options that the 4 members of the City Council that were then on the City Council could proceed under in terms of filling that vacancy.
Okay, members, if it's acceptable to you, this is what I'd like to propose. And I hate to say that we've had this experience once with member Pat, so I'm familiar with this process at this point.
I try to make sure the same thing's not going to happen.
I appreciate the way you handled it, not making sure it happened the way it happened last time. No disrespect to the former council member, just very different the way it went down. So members, my ask of you, I'm sorry, you're not the vice mayor anymore. My ask of you, member Medina, is that you actually, the mayor has to accept a resignation with the city manager under the rules, and I would ask that you submit and tender your resignation in writing via email to the city manager and I, stating the date and time at which you are prepared to resign your seat, because I believe, Mr. Kennedy, we cannot have a conversation about this until a seat is actually vacated, because that was the issue last time, correct?
Correct. You need a vacancy on the City Council in order for the remaining members of the City Council to consider how to fill that vacancy.
So we can't discuss this until she's actually left the seat?
Correct.
Okay, so my ask is that you do that with a time certain. You've just told us what it is, but you do that in writing, and that staff, the city manager, will have that provided that that's in writing, that at the next available council meeting that's a regular council meeting after that resignation would take effect, that the city council have an agenda item to discuss a process for how to make a selection. Members, is that acceptable to everybody else as a future agenda item? I see nods. Everyone agrees? Okay. So that will be the future agenda item. Are there any additional or alternative future agenda items that others wish to have for the January meeting or after that we need to discuss right now? We don't discuss them, we just see if we have a majority support to put it on a calendar. Okay, I see none. I'm going to just save all my remarks for January, member Medina, because you didn't give me a lot of time to think about that. So, okay, that is going to move us to item 15. Madam Clerk, the time is 8:22 p.m. This meeting is now adjourned. I want to wish everybody here a happiest of holiday seasons. Please be safe. Please see your loved ones and let them know how much you do love them. Be kind to strangers, and remember that this world is one we share together. Have a nice evening.